So with those quick snapshots on what's coming up for the next 2 or 3 days, I want to now introduce our keynote speaker. And it's my privilege and honor to introduce a dear friend and colleague, a role model for all of us, an incredible advocate and enthusiastic leader, John Kemp. John is well known by most of you as co-founder of the American Association of Persons with Disabilities. After many years serving the disability community in different capacities, he serves as president and CEO of the Lakeshore Foundation, an internationally recognized organization providing opportunities for individuals with physical disability. He also chairs Delta Airlines Advisory Board on Disability and serves on numerous boards. Among his many honors, John is the recipient of the Henry Bett Awards and the Dole Leadership Prize. And just now, John has published a new book, Disability Friendly: How to Move from Clueless to Inclusive. I remember visiting China a few years ago, and we were with John, and he said, I want to go to the Great Wall of China with his scooter. And I thought that this was something that would be challenging, and it was fantastic. And I thought, nothing will ever stop John. So today I'm very happy to announce that John will be an Astro ambassador for the zero gravity flight in December.
Correct.
So John, the sky is the limit.
Thank you. Axel, thank you very much. And everywhere I look in this room, I see friends, lots of friends. It's humbling to be here. I was here at the very start of these summits, and to be back is just great. Yes, I'm going to take a zero-G gravity flight. My wife asked me, what was I thinking? And I had said, well, I ran it by you, and I think she was doing something else, and she goes, well, whatever, you know? And I said, that's a green light, I'm going then. So I did apply. I did a 2-minute video, sent it in, captioned, and sent it in, and it was, along with an application, chosen among about 150, 200 applications. 16 of us from 5 different countries are going up on December 14, not in a Blue Origin rocket. It's a hollowed out 727 that is fully padded, has a couple of rows of seats in the back, and we go through 20 parabolic maneuvers. And those are way up and then drop way down and turn and pull 1.6, 1.8 Gs going up and then go into weightlessness coming down. It lasts for 2 hours. I'm thinking I'm going to weigh about 10 pounds less by the time I get done with that one. But why did I do it? Because it was there. The idea is to look at disability inclusion in future space travel. And the challenge is going to be whether people with disabilities or people who are astronauts and people who are traveling in the outer space really need sight or hearing or arms or legs or any other characteristic that you can think of. So there are a series of tests throughout this entire flight that will test whether these characteristics are essential or not essential. I know, it's crazy. I'm going to take off my artificial legs with Velcro suit. I'll have a flight suit, the blue flight suit, not a helmet, by the way. And I'll be able to get my legs off, keep my arms on, and be on the floor, be on the ceiling. I'm not sure where I'm going to be, actually. But it's really going to be about testing the opportunity for future space travel. And I think that's just another frontier that we all need to think about. So, thank you. I just want to give a shout out. I could shout out to everybody here. I think I know at least half the people in this audience, maybe more. But my friend Francis West, who I just admire so much. Francis, it's always great to see you. Judy Brewer, just a phenomenal person. One of our great leaders. Ralph Neese. Kathy Bodine, University of Colorado, extraordinary. Oh my goodness, I could keep on going. You've got stars and stars and stars here today and for the next couple of days, and it's going to be remarkable. Yes, I got a book done. I'm very proud of it. I think it's going to be something that employers should be using and could use for a long time. It's a little autobiographical, mostly a deep dive into disability culture and also a pathway for disability inclusion in employment. And it's my thinking and my writing, but I've been speaking about this for a long time, and I finally got it down and out, and I hope that those of you who are purchasing it enjoy it and you find it meaningful. That's the most important thing. I'm at Lakeshore Foundation. I left after almost 11 years at the Viscardi Center on Long Island, where we started a digital accessibility services program run by the incredible Mike Caprera. And I must say they're going strong. It's really a social impact kind of a service that a lot of nonprofits can benefit from. And I think it tells me and it reinforces to me that nonprofits and even many corporations move too slow. Business moves fast. I'm involved with Delta Airlines, and we reorganized our advisory board to meet the speed of business of Delta. We were not doing it as a board of advisors. We were set up like the traditional nonprofits, have a monthly meeting of various committees, and we'd have to wait for decisions, and it was like they needed a decision in 24 hours. They needed it right away. And I think nonprofits in general have a problem in that they can't organize themselves in a better way, or they need to organize themselves in a way that keeps up with the speed of business. And when I think about what Axel just introduced that's going to be addressed here with the metaverse and the metaverse continuum, it is remarkable how fast this change is going to happen in the next decade. And you were at the right place at the right time to talk about it. For NGOs to keep up, they're going to have to change dramatically. I'm going to change Lakeshore to move fast and much faster. Lakeshore addresses the needs, the health, wellness, fitness, nutrition, research, and advocacy needs of people with disabilities. We have a 45-acre campus. We use 3 of our 9 buildings. We lease out the rest, 1 to a hospital. We have a very nice endowment, which is great. But we talk about the health and wellness of people with disabilities after discharge from hospital and rehab center care. It is personal responsibility to take care of yourself, to extend the quality of your life by being healthy and fit and taking good care. We are a Paralympic and Olympic training site, and one of the things that we've started in the last 3 months is a Sports Science Institute that will be launched on July 1, 2023, which will use an incredible amount of technology to improve the elite performance of Paralympic athletes to get to the medal stand. But there'll be a translational component for the everyday warriors with disabilities who want to just work out. They just want to go for a long walk. They want to eat better. They want to get better sleep. So I will just tell you that the translational part is probably as important as helping elite athletes be even more elite and better. So there is nothing like it right now for Paralympic athletes. So it's going to be phenomenal, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to do my best to make it that way. But the best part is that everybody is going to get some really good information about how to feel better, be healthier, live a longer life with high quality. So that's where I am, and Lakeshore, check it out, lakeshore.org, great place. So 40 years ago, 80% of the market value of US corporations was attributable to tangible assets, land, building, equipment, as against intangibles, licenses, patents, research and development. Today, intangibles account for 85% of the market value of US corporations. In a world where intellectual property rules, it is human capital that drives value. And companies that ignore the social aspirations of their employees do so at their own peril. Climate change, relatively open labor markets, racial and social justice, disability justice will remain high on the agenda of companies that want to attract the best workers. And think about the sequencing of kids in school who have graduated, moved hopefully into the marketplace, unfortunately way too slowly, and there's an absence of people with disabilities in the marketplace when their fellow workers and their fellow students from before are already in the workplace, and they're saying, who's missing? It's people with disabilities who are missing, and they know it. In the past, we could skim over it and just kind of blow it off. Today, that's not the way young workers feel. The irony of today is that we have, this moment in time, the best educated and most unemployed group of people with disabilities that has ever existed in this country. And that is not right. Is it? No. Accenture's CEO, Julie Sweet, who I have met and I really admire her greatly, sees three big changes going on in the post-pandemic world. She noted the first shift is around the value of tech. Tech became the lifeline for individuals, societies, businesses, and governments. The second big shift has been about speed. She made me think a lot about speed, the speed of business. The most successful economies, countries, and companies are those whose speed is as fast as possible. The third shift is the shift in the opportunity to accelerate the achievement of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Think about the data points. There are 1.6 million more people with disabilities in 2021 than there were in 2020. 1.6 million more. We still have this incredibly disparate employment rate, which is just horrible, about our labor force participation. So wide, so deep, I'm surprised that people with disabilities just aren't screaming about it more and more. 21% of full-time employees with disabilities working, 67% non-disabled people working. A disparity that is intolerable. And get this, long COVID, 8% of the adult population in this country has symptoms of long COVID. It doesn't become a disability until it interferes with a major life activity, and medical evidence can be required to prove it. But just think of the numbers of people, and then we're all aging a little bit, not me, but everybody else is aging just a little bit, so we're all aging quickly into this coverage area. This is not an issue that's going away. If everything is not built inclusively, it shouldn't be built. And if it's built, don't buy it. All right? Accenture talking about metaverse and Web 3. The next wave of digital change is here. This conference is all about it. It's so magnificent, and congrats to the program committee. You're right, Excel, about how it anticipated and listened to what people want. And I looked at the speakers and met a nice person last night who's going to talk about the metaverse. This is going to be another world, a parallel world. Digital twins. Like, what is that? I say to myself, and then I say, wow, that's such a good question. I have no idea, all right? So got to go to the sessions. Don't you like it when today people say, you ask a question and say, that's a really good question. You know what they're basically doing is they're going to buy time while they're trying to think up an answer to what that good question was. But I'm always amazed now at everybody says, oh, that is such a good question. Thank you for that good question. What am I going to say? So now the panel that's coming up is probably worried they're going to say that. Thank you. Oh my God, thank you for that good question. Oh no, I did that. I can't believe it. But just to think that it applies to all aspects, the metaverse applies to all aspects of business, from consumer to worker and across the enterprise, from reality to virtual and back, from 2D to 3D, from cloud and artificial intelligence to extended reality, blockchain, digital twins, edge technologies, and beyond. We haven't seen this kind of a change for probably 20 years. It's been more incremental. But now we're almost on the verge of tying it all together. Behind all this uncertainty is tremendous opportunity. The last time the internet went through such a shift of this magnitude, Amazon, who is here, right? Amazon, Netflix, and Google went from narrow businesses to internet titans. We're on the verge of that next explosion. But it's got to be accessible. It's got to be accessible to all of us. I talk a little bit about artificial intelligence with regard to recruiting. And it's just something that just aggravates me to no end. Artificial intelligence in recruiting. Wonder why aren't more people with disabilities employed? Because we're screened out by artificial intelligence. And if you're an employer and you're contracting with companies that are selling you inaccessible, discriminatory artificial intelligence in the recruitment process, you're violating the law. Companies can't contract away their obligations. Think about the CAPTCHAs. How do you find that with a screen reader? Resume screeners. Nobody ever sees no person sees these gaps in employment history, and nobody gets to talk about it. But those gaps are found by AI, and all of a sudden you're pushed off to this other pool over here. Conversational agents, chatbots. Maybe not used to encountering non-written communications methods such as text-to-speech. Very difficult. And AI interviewing, facial analysis software. That is so dangerous. So a person who happens to be blind has to talk to a camera and make eye contact, impossible. Know where the camera is. AI is judging whether you're looking left or right, or even if your speech pattern is different. You get bumped out and get put over here. Now they've created a second pathway around to say, we're not discriminating. We're letting those folks on this other side come around and come in. This is like 40 years ago, 30 years ago, when buildings weren't accessible, but you had to come in the back door and the rats and cats entrance to be able to get into the building, to get to the interview site. Believe me, this is fraught with lots of problems. I work with Inclusively, which is a really great organization, company, really great. And they commissioned Forrester to do a paper on the importance of accessibility in the DEIA conversation. Successful HR leaders must join the accessibility conversation. I think it's great that the Biden administration put the A on DEI, but I always thought it was included in D, E, and I. But to call it out, great. We're better for it. Maybe more people will pay attention to it. Accessibility must be embedded in the DEI goals. Must. Firms have basic DEIA practices, but few have embedded them in their ecosystems. When it comes to disability, firms don't have the processes or incentives in place to hire and retain talent. Companies are not doing enough to make candidate experience, including screening, interviewing, and onboarding, more accessible or to offer accommodations. In fact, less than half the respondents said they believe their firm's practices are welcoming. Less than half say they're welcoming. That means more than half say they're not welcoming to people with disabilities. We can improve that. We got all the talent right here. Respondents said that if accessibility practices don't improve by 2025, they expect massive declines in employee satisfaction, employee retention, brand value, customer satisfaction, and revenue. Ding, ling, ling, ling. Now they heard the right word. Revenue. These are powerful findings and suggest that unless much more investment is made in the technologies that onboard and support employees with disabilities, corporations will either lose valuable professionals with disabilities or miss altogether the hiring of qualified professionals with disabilities. And these factors will put their companies at serious competitive disadvantages within their industry sectors. That's not what we want. We want this equal. All technologies must be as accessible as possible all the time. At this 10th gathering of M-Enabling Summit, you'll be given the opportunity to learn about the metaverse and all the items that I mentioned before. People with disabilities must be included. It just seems so illogical not to anticipate this and build it in. And it should stick out as a terrible problem if it's not. You have the intellect. You have the talent. You have the financial and human incentives to include everyone. We can all empower children and adults with disabilities to discover the love of learning, the power of work, the freedom of independent living, and the self-confidence to fulfill our dreams. Let's do it. And as my modern-day guidepost philosopher, Ted Lasso, says, I believe in hope, I believe in believe, and I'm going to say, I believe in you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Sorry. Thank you very much, John, for your reflection and for your inspiring words. And we have a gift for you. Yes?
Thank you. Thank you.
So this is a soft toy pillow that lights up. It's a rocket, and it's actually it was made for the 50th anniversary Apollo 11 moon landing. So this is your next frontier, the moon, after the zero gravity.
Thank you.
I'll put it here.
Perfect.
You bet.
Up it. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Francesca.
Thank you, John. A round of applause.